A heartbreak that you feel might not even be yours, lovely. And I say this because we are born into families that are carrying their own lineages of unprocessed heartbreak. And when you are born into your family, often you inherit that. You inherit the way that you relate to men and women. You inherit the way you express your emotions. You inherit the way the behavior is when there is either celebration or crisis. Sometimes we do exactly the way that our parents or grandparents did it, and sometimes we do the opposite. If you do the opposite, you're probably described as the black sheep. That's me. When you encounter struggle or pain or heartbreak in your own life, what can actually happen is it hits the old wounds of generational pain or trauma. And you sometimes might feel like, oh my goodness, how am I acting this way? Why am I doing this? It doesn't make sense. This is something that I experienced in my own family lineage. When I was a teenager, I became very depressed. I was very depressed, and I actually tried to take my own life more than once. And I remember writing in my journal, I don't, I was like 15. I don't understand why I'm so depressed. And I remember my little 15-year-old brain writing these words. My brothers are annoying, but I know mom and dad love me. What's going on? Now, to be fair, I had found myself in some very poor choices for friend groups. I'd also stopped moving my body physically at that stage. And I also, through wild and crazy choices, influences, I had started doing drugs at a young age. So there were all of these things contributing to this level of depression as well. But I had this foresight at 15 to go, this doesn't make sense, the depth of sadness and pain that I'm feeling. Now, two decades later, I actually discovered that there was a secret suicide in my family system. And no one ever talked about it. And there was actually a pattern of depression, ECT, or electroconvulsive therapy through my family lineage that no one ever talked about. And there I was expressing this family secret as a young teenager. And the focus was on me. There's something wrong with me. So if you've ever experienced something like this, please know that there is probably something up your family lineage line that you are playing out within your own system. Because this is what our family systems actually desire. They actually want us. Family systems are these energetic threads holding us together in soul connection, but also in simply like your family tree. You are impacted by all the generations before and after you. And so when you understand that while yes, you are an individual, you are deeply connected to your family, deeply connected. And that is, if you're adopted, you'll be connected to your adoptive family, but you'll also have connection to your birth family. And so to understand this I found it to be incredibly freeing when I started looking at my experience in the world as a part of a greater whole. And when I began exploring my family patterns, I could actually, there was a reclaiming of my own choice, because this is what is known as differentiation. So when you bring the unconscious to the conscious, you have choice. So just like my story of when I was 15, that unconscious secret was ruling me. And without the understanding of how that was in my family lineage line, it was me. But when I discovered that that was in my lineage line, it actually helped me create a separation so that I could actually give this inner teenager of mine a lot of love and a lot of compassion. So you will inherit different ways of being, behaviors, belief systems, rules through your family lineage. And this happens both overtly, so very obviously, like for example, one family rule and behavior in my family growing up was don't put your elbows on the table. Very obvious. But a more covert or subtle family rule was suffer in silence. No one actually said those words at all out loud. But when I asked my family, like aunts and uncles, what's the family rule? They all said the same thing, even though no one ever talked about it. So you're going to have this experience of what is appropriate, of how you're supposed to behave in your family. Now, so how do we bring this to light? How do you create that differentiation or that separation, that slight separation, so that you then have a choice? It's through stories. So we are storied beings. We learn through story, we live through story, just for as long as we can remember. Mythologies. That's why people love movies and books and telling stories, right? So see if you can gather stories about your family. Ask people. Don't worry about them being really big stories. Just ask people questions. What was it like for you when you went to school? What was your wedding like? How did you feel when you had your first baby? Who was the favorite child when you were growing up? And it'll be really interesting because I did this with my brothers, but also with my aunts and uncles, and they all have a different answer. That's because we are all influenced differently in our families. Ask stories about your grandparents. How did they meet? What did they do for work? If you're lucky enough, ask stories about your great grandparents and let it be casual. Let it just be this casual thing that you begin to express and question. Make it be something that becomes kind of normal in your family if it can. When I started asking these questions, my dad's immediate response would be, I don't remember. And I'd be like, okay. And then I would go away for a couple of weeks and then I would see him again and he'd be like, Jewel, I remember all of these things from childhood. And he would start to tell me stories. So allow it to loosely unfold, give people that time to share because they're going to be going into recesses of themselves, discovering what's in there, what's been lost. And this is the process of differentiation. And it's amazing to notice what people remember and what people don't remember. And when we share our memories and our stories, you also then contribute to the differentiation of other members of your family. Might feel uncomfortable sometimes. My experience is it's been highly worth it. So if there's not many people around, see if you can ask family friends, cousins, aunts and uncles. And if you have any photographs or family heirlooms, paintings, quilts, jewelry, sit in silence with it. Ask them to show you their stories and see what you notice. You might notice feelings. You might get flashes of memories or thoughts or words, and allow those to be true. This is how interconnected we are. So once you begin to see the inherited family patterns and you begin to notice the differentiation, like where do I have choice in this matter? The next video, it will explore the real importance of choice because this is where women will abandon themselves. This is where they will put others before themselves. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.